Have you ever stopped to think about what goes into making the really high-performance stuff that powers our world? Things like jet engines or parts for electric cars? Well, the secret isn't just brute force. It's this hidden, super precise technology that, believe it or not, works a lot like a ride at an amusement park. Okay, let's dive right in. Really think about that for a second. We're talking about a turbine disk spinning thousands of times a minute, a single tiny microscopic crack. That could be absolutely catastrophic. So how on earth do manufacturers guarantee perfection when they're smashing and shaping some of the toughest metals known to man? It is a huge challenge. And here's the answer. It's almost deceptively simple, at least in concept. You use a giant, high-tech carousel. I know, it sounds a little weird, but this elegant idea is right at the heart of how modern critical parts get made. So let's get into the specifics. This carousel is officially called a rotary forging furnace. Sometimes you'll hear it called a rotary hearth furnace. It's really the unsung hero behind so many of the things we rely on every day.
So, what is it really? Well, at its core, it's just a massive circular oven that slowly rotates. It has one single crucial job: to heat up big chunks of metal, they're called billets, to the absolute perfect temperature so they can be squished into a new shape by a giant press without cracking.
And when I say perfect temperature, I mean it. And the temperatures we're talking about here are just extreme. For steel, you got to get it up to 1250 degrees Celsius. For titanium alloys, which are notoriously difficult to work with for aerospace parts, you're looking at just under 1000 degrees. If you get this wrong by even a little bit, you can completely ruin the part. The real genius of the rotary furnace is in its simplicity. It's all about that continuous motion, which creates this incredibly elegant and efficient cycle.
The whole process is this beautiful four-step loop that just keeps going. First, cold metal billets get loaded onto the rotating floor of the furnace. That's called the hearth. Second, as that hearth turns, the billets move through different heating zones inside. Third, they soak at that final target temperature, which makes sure the heat is perfectly even from the outside all the way to the core. And finally, the glowing hot billet is automatically plucked out and sent straight to the forging press. It's just a constant, seamless flow. No stopping, no waiting around.
And just to put that heat into perspective, the peak operating temperature inside one of these machines can get up to 1200 degrees Celsius. That is literally hotter than lava flowing from a volcano. You need that insane level of heat to make these superalloys soft enough to shape. Now, this wasn't always how things were done. The rotary furnace is a massive, massive leap forward from the old way of doing things. Let's just do a quick side-by-side comparison.
Before this kind of tech, factories used what are called batch furnaces, and it was a total stop-and-go process. You'd load a big box, heat the whole thing up, unload it, and then wait for it to cool down before you could start all over again. It was super inefficient, and you often got inconsistent heating. The rotary furnace just changes the whole game with its continuous flow. That gives you incredibly uniform heating, and as a bonus, it's way more energy efficient.
So, to really wrap our heads around how advanced this stuff has become, let's take a look at a specific example from a company that's a world leader in this field, Electrotherm.
Okay, this is what's truly mind-blowing. A modern furnace can hold its temperature to within plus or minus 5 degrees Celsius at over 1000 degrees. That's like trying to control a raging bonfire with the precision of a surgical tool. This crazy level of accuracy is what prevents those microscopic flaws from ever forming in the metal structure. And that is absolutely essential for aerospace parts that have to meet the strictest safety standards in the world.
And look, this isn't some niche experimental technology either. There are over 450 of these advanced rotary furnaces installed in factories all around the globe. That just proves how reliable and totally essential this tech has become for modern industry.
This table here really just sums it all up perfectly. First, you've got that incredible temperature uniformity, which is what you need to get critical certifications like NADCAP for the aerospace industry. Then you've got continuous operation, which keeps those multi-million-dollar forging presses running constantly, not sitting idle. And finally, you get major energy efficiency, which directly cuts the cost of manufacturing. But wait, it's actually more than just a better oven. These things are designed for the factory of the future. A lot of them are supplied on wheels, so they can be moved around for quick setup. They're built from the ground up for robotic automation, and they're certified to meet the world's toughest manufacturing standards, like AMS 2750, which is a big deal for heat treatment in aerospace. Okay, so it's a really cool piece of industrial machinery. I get it, but why should you care? How does this high-tech carousel actually affect your life?
Well, it turns out this technology is absolutely crucial for some of the most important industries out there. We're talking aerospace and defense, the automotive world, especially for making lightweight EV components, power generation, and even medical implants. So yeah, pretty important stuff. At the end of the day, it's the precision of the rotary furnace that allows manufacturers to create parts that are stronger, lighter, and way more reliable. And that translates directly into safer airplanes for us to fly in, more efficient cars for us to drive, and a more dependable power grid for all of us. And here's the other part of the story. There's a huge financial upside. Compared to the older technology, these modern furnaces offer some serious savings, both in the day-to-day energy bill and in the upfront cost to buy one. So the better technology also happens to be cheaper and greener to run. It's a win-win. This quote here from this source material just nails the business case perfectly. By feeding a continuous stream of perfectly heated parts to the forging press, the furnace gets rid of all of that expensive downtime. It keeps the whole production line humming along, which maximizes the return on investment for these massive industrial plants. So, we've seen how a pretty simple concept, a spinning carousel, completely revolutionized a fundamental industrial process. It just makes you wonder, right? What other seemingly boring part of our world is just one brilliant idea away from its own high-tech revolution? It's something to think about.